Hey guys, my name is Fervin Phoenix and welcome to the Structure of Man Learn to Draw the Human Figure from your Mind Training course. Okay, so in the previous lesson we had left off where we had understood how we were able to help the mind understand where it could now draw from memory the front view, and now it can also draw the back view, right? So the only difference was that we drew the chest cavity a little more differently, and then we put really a circle here for the back view of the skull and really just shaded this in a little bit to signify that that was the area of the jaw, right? And everything else was basically the same. So it was this area here, these two places that we wanted to understand. We understand this, but over here is the fuzzy area that we don't know. So now here we're going to go through a discovery process, and what is important to understand about this is that when we draw the side view, here you will begin to understand how the mind will start to put things together in a three-dimensional understanding, right? We're not going to draw anything in 3D, but we'll begin to understand things in 3D, right? So to do that, we are going to draw out the side view of the figure. So for the side view, I'm going to draw it out over here. And for this one, it's going to be exactly the same thing. We're just going to draw out a line, just really a line going straight down, like this over here. Right, so this will give me the height for the figure over here. So this line here, right, when we drew out the line here in the straight line, this was really the line of gravity. And it helps us to understand how each part is divided on both different parts, and it's the same thing. And on the side view, this will be the line of gravity. And this line now is going to play a really vital role to help us understand how to balance the figure and how to begin to understand what is it that we've been drawing. Remember, all of this stuff that we're doing is an invention of a toolkit. It's basically a blueprint that we're creating. So all we have to do now is divide this line in half. So here I'm just going to draw an X here for the area for the crotch again. I'm gonna draw this line a little more clearly because it's a little fuzzy. Okay, that should be good enough. And then over here we're going to divide this in half. We know that this is where the knees are going to be above, just like this from the side view, right? Then over here we're going to divide this in half about here. This is where the bottom of the pec muscles is going to be. This is where the navel is supposed to be. Then if we go up here, this will be the bottom of the chin, right? So this is the height of the head that I'm showing you. Okay, so now what we need to do is understand, okay, how should we draw this invention from the side view? So we need to come up with a very basic rules of understanding, really like these basic formulas that we can just leave behind when we start to draw, where everything just is understood as an obvious concept. So the first thing that we're going to solve here is the human head. Now notice what we're doing is we're going to slow down our thinking, right? So this is really getting into the this area of managing your way of thinking, right? We are the thinkers, we are really the creators, so we're going to decide how the mind will begin to understand things. So now this is where we're going to start to adjust our way of drawing things out. So to draw out the head from the side view, what we'll do for now as a very simple rule in this toolkit is that when we take the height of the head to the chin, when we divide this in half and go down, this will basically give us the idea of how we need to make a circle over here for our idea for the human head, right? The invention of the head that we're going to create, right? So over here, from now on, when we draw it from the back, we'll just say that, okay, well, if I'm on the back, I'm just going to take from here here, and if I was here, divide this in half, I really just ended up doing the same thing, right? So I can just draw out the circle like this, right? So over here, it's the same thing. You really don't have to worry about it. But from the side, it's always going to be like this. So this line here divides it, meaning that it's the human head really just needs to be understood in a circle. So once we have this, we now can make the jaw. The jaw, for this, we're going to make the figure face this in that direction over there, right? So for the jaw, where we put this line over here, we're just going to go above this and make the jaw on the left side going in this direction, just like this. I did this, and basically where this guy is, I can just come like this over here. And very simply make the human head, like the human skull, really. Right, so here I'm just going to clean up some of these lines here because I want to slow down and make sure we understand how we're helping the mind to get these concepts. Right, so for the jaw, I just did this line here like this, and then I drew it from the front like this, and I'm just following the circle of the head, right? So here is the original circle for the head. So for the jaw, it just came down like this and this, right? And this is the line for the chin, and this is where it ended. It's a very simple concept. So the next rule is we need to understand, okay, now we need to draw out the chest cavity. So how should the chest cavity be placed when it is drawn from the side? Well, the first rule of our invention that we'll state is that whenever we draw the neck, so the neck is going to be obviously on the right side of this, right? It's basically going to be here. Whenever we draw out the neck, it must always be on an angle. So this is a rule that we never want to forget. It's because in our invention, when the head sits on the human body, it is always pushed out, and the chest is pushed a little bit back, and you'll see as to why that happens. So where this is the line for the chin, this is the line for the pec, bottom of the pec muscles, right? So let's look at this. This is the bottom line for the pec muscles, and this is the line for the chin. Then we made the clavicle here, meaning that we really just divided this in half. So if I take this line over here, I'm just going to draw an imaginary line to show that the clavicle is going to be on this line here, right? So as a rule, we'll say that this point where we have the jaw, if we divide this in half like this, right, from here to here, I'm going to divide from here to here in half. This is where the clavicle needs to sit, and it needs to go in this way, meaning that the top of the chest cavity needs to go in this direction, meaning that this opening, right, this is the back, this is the front, and this is where we're seeing the back, right? So because this is here, we need to do the same thing. When I went here, I said just go above, right, from here to here, divide in half, and make the back of the chest cavity. So because it's going to be the same thing here, as if I'm looking at this line here, right, I did this, now I need to make the back of this guy here, I'm going to come like this, right? So this, and it's just going to meet where the neck is, right? So notice that this neck didn't come here, it's just basically within this area over here, right? And this should help you understand what is it that we're drawing here, right? So once we get this, we now need to just draw out the chest cavity, make a line just going like this, right? So, and then we need to make this guy curve. So just like when we curved the chest cavity here based on the idea of the nipple, you should know that we should know that to understand this, we'll say that, okay, when you have the head like this and you created the circle, basically from here to here, if you take a half of this and add it here, basically this is where it just needs to start curving with the chest cavity. It needs to start going in this direction. Remember, this is the navel. This is the navel, and we have to go just above this. So meaning that this guy should just come over here, and the curve, this curve here, should really be coming over here. Okay, and it's the same thing from the front. From the front is we're just going to add basically like if from here to here. If I divide this in half, I get this section here. I'm going to add it over here, going down, meaning that where this line for the bottom of the pec muscles is, I'm just going to connect this dot to this dot, and I'm going to get the idea for the chest cavity. And that's it. That's how simple it is. Right? So in this fundamental toolkit that we're creating, as we move along, we will begin to adjust this toolkit. Right? There are going to be some areas that we need to adjust, meaning that we will add knowledge to it. We will draw it just a little differently, but we don't have to worry about it right now because we haven't gotten to that stage. So to review what I did here, right? When I was here where the bottom of the pec was, and this is the chin, when I basically came like this, just like this, divided this in half, I just knew that where this chin was, half of this, I know that I'm going to draw it here. I'm going to go up just like this, right? I'm not going to go up over here. I'm not going to draw it up here so it hits the jaw line. See, this is the line for the jaw. I'm not going to go all the way up here. It's going to come here because it has to be here. Same area here, approximately the same distance over here. And that's it. And then when I drew it like this, I knew that I just need to go back a little bit. I can just eyeball it, add a half of this to here, just approximate it and come like this. So the important thing about this gravity line is look where this curve is. It's on the left of this gravity line, this curve. We're talking about this area right here where this curves. This area is going to be here. And this here, again, this is the flat of the human head, and we just added like a half. This was from here, and I took this line, divided this in half, took this area here and attached it here, and basically this tells you that the pec is going to be in front of the face, right? And the back is going to be a little back of the skull. And that's it. So now we come to this area over here. How should we solve this area, right? So one more thing here. Notice that this here is a circle where the neck is going to sit in, right? This is why we couldn't see it because it's on the other side. And this now helps you understand what's going on, that it's on an angle. That's why we drew it like this on the back, to understand this section. So in the same way, we would have to do it here too, because we know that the love handle goes here. So if I imagined a circle going like this, let's say a circle was going like this, right? Like this, I could have just simplified everything and gone like this and just draw like these two lines, right? So it's the same thing, but over here, I can just draw the same thing over here and just draw it out like this. Right? It's a very simple idea of the pelvis, meaning that here we would erase these lines here so we can see the back, right? So here we're adjusting our previous designs so we can help the mind understand in 3D how this is going, right? Meaning that this obviously is now going to be on an angle, right? So meaning that over here, where this is the crotch area, this is the crotch area. This is the navel, this is the navel. So when I divided this area in two different sections, I'm going to divide this area in two different sections, right? So I know that the love handles are going to be here. So if I took an imaginary line here, right, I need to figure out how should I do this. But basically just know that you just need to like curve it like this, and that's it. So meaning that this here, this junction that we talked about is here. This line here is this line. Is going to be this line over here, meaning that you can just draw it like this. See where this is going? I'm just going to draw it like this for now. And here I'm just going to curve it in and go like this. And where should this end? Basically, where the half of this is, just do it like this. Right? It's that simple. So now we understand this much more better in the mind, right? Let me draw this in 3D so you understand what I did here. This thing is nothing more than this. It's a shape like this. Very simple idea of a shape that I drew. This is the opening, and this is the pelvis area over here. And where this junction is, right, it's just like this. It's just going like this. It's just these two imaginary lines. It's just like this 3D object that we've created. That's all we did here. Right? Remember, this is just simplified understanding of this. Okay, so what we want to do now is understand how to do the legs. So we know that when we divided from the navel and the crotch, we divided this in 3 different sections. We got the junction over here, and then over here we knew that this is what the ball joint is going to be. It's going to be the same thing. The ball joint is going to be basically on this line, but it has to be on this gravity line, right? It has to be on the left of this. It cannot be here, right? And this you will begin to understand when we go through the actual creation of the pelvis bone structure. You will understand as to why this ends up over here. So once we have this, we now need to balance this. So meaning that when we drew out the legs like this, we know it's balanced. But when we draw it from the side, I'm going to draw out the leg, but here where the knee is, I'm going to come back in a little bit so this guy can stand correctly. Right? So it's really just an S curve over here that I did. And then over here for the foot, I'm just going to make it like this. Very simple. So, right, so you just have to be artistic about it, but it's really just understanding how we're balancing this figure over here. Now you can draw the other leg and make it do something else if you wanted to. So over here, the thing to understand about this is that this is really just going like this on a curve, right? Notice that there's a curve over here. This is a curve. This goes this way, this goes this way. Over here, we know that this guy is here, right? Because we added a half to this. So basically this is in. That's all there is to understand about this. And that's it. So the other thing that's left is understanding how to draw out the shoulder, like the clavicle. So obviously from here, the front, it's going to go here. From the back, it's coming here. So for the clavicle will need to come over here. It needs to come here, and the ball joint has to be here on the right of this, right? It's not going to be here, it's going to be here. And the reason for this in our invention is because when we get down to the muscles, this will give us enough space to create the pec muscles, the 3-dimensional understanding of it. See this here? This thing is here, and this is what gives us this understanding, this space over here, right? This is why we drew it over here. And basically to finish it off, here I'm just going to draw out the arm like this, knowing that this is where the crotch is, like a pendulum. This is basically where the hand is going to be, and here where the from here to here, this is where the navel is. I'm going to draw out the elbow, and that's it. This gives us the side view of our invention. So in the next lesson, what we're going to do is review this and make sure we understand that everything has been imprinted in the mind, and move on from there. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks.